Thank you for inviting me to join your group. I really enjoyed being here last time, and I see some familiar faces from last time. Shabana, I remember you, and several others. What I'm presenting tonight is a class that I'd prepared and have been teaching that takes place over 4 weeks with an hour and a half each week. So we're going to do a very condensed version of it tonight, and I hope you'll enjoy it. I'm going to try to share my screen so that you can see the PowerPoint. This class is called Finding Our Balance, Lessons on the 4 Immeasurables. And these are teachings from the Buddhist tradition, but they actually even predate the Buddhist tradition and are part of the Vedic tradition from the Brahma Vihara. And so these are kind of really universal concepts, not just for Buddhism or Buddhists. So there's what's called the 4 Immeasurables, and these are the qualities that we want to develop if we want to work towards enlightenment. And even if we're not so interested in becoming enlightened or proceeding on that path, it also just helps us to develop a kind heart and to have more enjoyment of our lives. So the first of these 4 is metta, the Sanskrit word for loving kindness, and that helps us transform our anger and hatred. And then the next one is karuna, or compassion, and that transforms our grasping and greedy and desire. The next is mudita, or joy, and that transforms jealousy and envy. And the last is upekkha, or equanimity, and that transforms our pride and arrogance. So this is a mandala, and it's kind of a graphic depiction of what we just talked about. So in the mandala, you have, in the Tibetan tradition, you usually enter from the bottom, and that's where the east is located. So each of these, the 4 sections of the mandala have different qualities associated with them. And those of you who came to my class previously, we did a flying exercise, and we talked about the qualities in each direction. So, and we're going to do that again tonight as well. But just briefly to point this out, in the bottom is the east, and that's the white color, and the element is water. And it's where the emotion of anger is located. And when it becomes transformed, it becomes loving kindness. And then on opposite, in the west, we have the red color, and that's element is fire in that direction. And the west represents the emotion of greed, or grasping, or passion, all the grasping qualities. And transformed, it becomes compassion. And then in the north, which is the green color, we have the quality of jealousy or envy, and the element is air. And transformed, it becomes joy. And then in the south, we have the yellow color, and that's represents the earth. And the emotion is pride, and when it gets transformed, it becomes equanimity. If anyone wants a copy of this section, we'll send it to you so you can refer back to this if you'd like. So then you might ask, well, how do we transform these negative emotions into positive qualities? So the first is just on a simple level to experience it with your own self, your family, your loved ones. So it's kind of like we're rejoicing at the good fortune of our loved ones rather than being jealous of them. So, sometimes when siblings in a family are together, of course, they love each other, but there's often some jealousy or envy between them. So that's a good representation. And we can remember back how we were jealous of our brothers or sisters, or if we were only child, perhaps our classmates for when they had things that we didn't, etc. So once we recognize that we have that quality of jealousy from our past or even present, we can start to direct it into a positive way. So actually envy or jealousy has kind of two parts to it. The first part is appreciating the good qualities or the good things that somebody else has. And that's a good thing. And we want to expand that. But then the second thing that comes when we have jealousy or envy is the wish that person doesn't have it anymore. So we want to take it away from them, maybe for ourselves, or maybe we don't even want it for ourselves, but we just don't want them to have it. So that's the part we want to try to transform. And one of the ways to do that is to expand the joyful part, the appreciation part. So we appreciate our own good qualities. Sometimes if we have a little bit of low self-esteem or lack of confidence, that can help feed these kind of negative qualities of jealousy and envy. But if we can just appreciate our own good qualities, our own good accomplishments, that can sometimes really help. And then from ourselves and our loved ones, we can spread it out so that we feel joy for all of the people we've never met. Maybe we see them on the news, or we just know that they exist in the world. And we wish that all of them have as many good qualities or good experiences as possible. And then from there, we want to just expand it out even further so that we're just spreading this joyful quality of appreciation of the good things, of the good accomplishments that people have made to all the beings in the whole universe. So that's people and animals and insects, all the beings in the universe. We want to spread this sense of joy towards them. And this is also just another technique for helping us to transform those emotions. And it's the word is breath. So it's kind of like when these emotions arise, such as jealousy or envy, we want to take a nice deep breath and just stop for a moment. Because usually what happens when we have an emotion, we kind of get stuck to it. Our consciousness gets stuck to the concepts or the emotions, the feelings, the anger, the frustration, the envy, the jealousy. But if we can take a breath, we can put a little space between us and the emotion. And that gives us a chance to stop and reflect for a moment. Like, maybe there really isn't a good reason to be jealous of this person. Maybe I could think about this in a different way and just be joyful for them and appreciate their accomplishment. The next is evaluate. And so then maybe you need to reflect on it a little bit. Like, well, maybe they really did deserve to get that degree or that award or that nice gift. Maybe it's something they did in the past, like Sachin's story with, the brother who was destined to die in a year, but he changed his karma or his life from his positive actions. Then the A is act. Sometimes just even a very small gesture can help. You just go up to the person and say, oh, I'm so proud of you for getting your degree or for receiving that award. And isn't that really wonderful? And sometimes even a little action can help break that cycle of negativity. The next is thank. So you can thank the person for everything they've done for you in your life, for the effort they made in their accomplishments, and or whatever seems appropriate for you. But just a sense of thankfulness can sometimes really help change the atmosphere of your mind. And then the last is help. So, do what you can to help. Ask the person who you were jealous of, what can you do to help them? And, sometimes just that attitude of helpfulness can change the way you view things, the way you're feeling, the way you're acting. So this is just a little practice you can try and see if it can help you when you're feeling an emotion. And you can use this with things like anger or greed, grasping, pride, any of those four we talked about earlier. You can use this same technique. Okay, so we're going to move into our practice section now. But before that, I want to just see if anyone has any questions or comments on this, what we've gone over so far.
Yeah, I have a question. Jealousy and competition is different, right? If somebody does good, I want to do like that. That's not a jealousy, right?
Well, they're a little related. So, we're talking about these four basic emotions, anger, grasping, pride, jealousy. But there's a lot of variations to them, and subtleties, like you're saying, a sense of competition. Competition, I think that's probably a relative of jealousy. So it's kind of in the same field. You could try these same techniques when you're feeling that. Yeah. Because basically when you're feeling competitive, you're also feeling like, well, this person's better, or they got something that you didn't, and why don't I have that? So I think it's fairly similar.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, I came from big family, and always I want to be like my sister. She did this, or they want to be like me. And it was not bad feeling. We didn't have bad feeling. I didn't, at least.
Yeah, sometimes it's positive because it encourages you to do better, right?
Yeah.
You see your sister's doing better. You think, oh, I'm going to try harder so I can be like her. So that's kind of the positive quality of it.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to expand.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, often in large families you have that, but in a way it's a gift, because then we learn how to work with other people, right, in the world too.
Yeah.
The else have something they'd like to share?
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
For the H, in breath, for the helping, is it necessarily to help that person with whom you feel that negative energy?
No, not really. It's just, you could put the helpfulness towards that person, or you could just put it towards yourself if you need some help, to feel more positive about yourself, or just even maybe helping someone who's not necessarily part of that dynamic. It's just it's an attitude of doing something positive, helpful with your life, with yourself. And that breath analogy, I just made that up. But I was trying to think, well, what is the process that we go through? And I think the most important thing is to take a breath and put a little space in between your emotion and your thoughts and your actions. So those were just other positive things I thought are helpful for me, when I'm trying to deal with a situation like this, and I thought maybe could be helpful for other people too.
So I have a question.
Okay.
What happens if you are trying to be proactive and you're trying to be coming from a place of loving kindness, and the other person is having an anxiety attack or a depression, severe depression, and they are at a place where they say, I hate you, or I don't want you, and please leave or do that. What are we supposed to do then? Do we leave the scene, or do we continue to comfort them and continue to, what would you recommend?
Right. Well, that's a good question. Often we do get in a situation where it's not just a simple, it's not just somebody, saying a nasty comment to us, but something more serious, like you're mentioning. I think what you can do in that situation is just do the best you can. So first of all, take a breath, stop for a moment. Don't take it personally, that they're maybe lashing out at you. And then, I've kind of found that sometimes when I'm in a situation where it's charged and there's a lot of anger, if you can just be kind and compassionate and kind of caring towards and listening to what the other person has to say, rather than immediately reacting against it. If you stop and say, "Oh, that's kind of interesting that you said that," or what made you want to say that, or try to be caring and compassionate to the other person. Sometimes that can really diffuse the anger, and not always, and maybe especially if someone's being kind of dangerous, you might need to just take yourself out of the situation. But as much as you can, rather than reacting with anger when you have anger aimed at you, that usually really does not work from my experience, of personally in interaction, or it's what I've seen. But if one person can kind of stop the kind of anger machine and turn it into a more caring, more listening, more reflective attitude, it can sometimes really change the energy for both people. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, that would be my comment. Any other comments or questions before we move on to our practice session? Okay, so for this we want to stand up. You want to stand with your feet about hip distance apart, arms by your sides. And we're just going to slowly let our arms come up from our sides, palms facing down as they come up, and then let our arms come up overhead, palms facing out, backs of the hands together, and then give a nice stretch up towards the sky. Take a nice deep breath into the belly and the chest, expanding the chest and the belly. And then slowly let it out as the arms slowly come down to our sides. So we're going to do this to each of the 5 directions of the mandala, if you'd like. So we're going to start facing the east. So that's, of course, where the sun rises in the morning. So if you can remember where the sun rises in relation to your house, you can start by facing the east. I'm going to just keep facing forward so you can see and hear me a little better. So we'll let our arms come up from our sides. And as we face the east, that's the color white, as you remember at the bottom of the mandala. The element is water. The emotion is anger or hatred, and transformed it becomes loving kindness. A nice stretch up towards the sky. Deep breath into the chest and the belly. And slowly let it out as the arms slowly come down to our sides. And then you can take a quarter turn to your right, and we'll be facing the south. So as our arms come up, we can think of the sun moving through the sky. Once it's overhead, it's nice bright yellow. That's the color in this direction. The element is earth. And the emotion is pride, and transformed it becomes equanimity. And I stretch up towards the sky, feet really planted on the earth. Deep breath into the chest and the belly, and slowly let it out as the arms slowly come down. Let's take one more quarter turn to our right. We'll be facing the west. And as our arms come up, we can think of the color red from the sunset time. The element's fire. The emotion is greed. Transformed, it becomes compassion. A nice stretch up towards the sky. Deep breath into the belly. Slowly let it out as the arms slowly come down. And then one more quarter turn to your right. We'll be facing the north. As the arms come up, you can think of all the beautiful trees in the north, the green color, the air that they create. Those are the qualities in this direction. Nice stretch up towards the sky, feet really planted on the earth. Deep breath into the chest and belly, and slowly let it out as the arms slowly come down. And the emotion in this direction is jealousy. Transformed, it becomes joy. And one more quarter turn to your right. We'll be facing the east, but we're going to be focusing on the center. So that means all the space above us and below us, and at our deepest center. So as your arms come up, you can think of the color blue, deep royal blue, and the element is ether, the atmospheric quality. I stretch up to the sky, feet really planted on the earth. Deep breath into the chest and belly, and then slowly let it out as the arms slowly come down to our sides. And the emotion in this direction is ignorance, and transformed, it becomes deep inner wisdom. Okay, so that's our mandala practice, or flying practice. So we're going to just do one more standing practice while we're up. It's a slow walking practice. So we're going to have our feet about a little further than hip distance apart. And we'll just lift the heel of one foot, and then the ball of the foot, and then the toes. And then set down, heel, ball, toe. And then lift the back, heel, ball, toe. And set down, heel, ball, toe. So if it works for you to make a little clockwise circle at your home, that's a nice place, a way to do this practice. But if you don't have much space, you can just kind of walk in place like I'm doing. And this is really nice practice to just kind of help slow the world down. And while we do this practice, it's really nice to focus on your senses. Just letting your senses be relaxed and open. Relaxing all the muscles around your eyes. Letting your sense of sight be just very receptive, open, and appreciative. And then relaxing all the muscles around the ear and the neck, letting all the sounds just come in and soothe you and let you have a sense of appreciation for them, for the fact that we have the sense of sound, or hearing. And likewise with our sense of smell, as we breathe deeply, we can appreciate all the subtle scents that might be in our room. And just appreciate the fact that we're able to smell and experience our world this way. Smell all the wonderful flowers if we're not allergic. And wonderful food smells. And then also our sense of taste we can be aware of. So usually we're not aware of that if we're not eating or drinking something, but we can just be aware of the subtle, natural taste in the mouth, relaxing the throat and the jaw, and just appreciating the fact that we are able to taste the wonderful variety of foods that we're able to have. And finally, our sense of touch. You know, we have that over our whole bodies, and it's so wonderful. We get to touch our loved ones. We get to experience our world by touching the different textures. And it's just so wonderful that we are able to experience our world in a very physical, kinetic way. So now we're going to sit back down and we're going to do a little chanting. Well, it doesn't seem to want to go, so we'll just go ahead and do it without the image. So for this practice, we're going to chant Om Ah Hum. So these are three, they're called seed syllable mantras, and Om relates to the body and the crown chakra at the top of the head. Ah relates to the throat chakra, and Hum relates to the heart chakra. So as we chant these three, it helps us to integrate our body and speech and mind, and our body, breath, and mind. So we'll chant this 3 times and then just sit quietly for a short time after that. And if you'd like, there's gestures you can do while we chant. So when we chant Om, our hands can be in our knees in a gesture of meditation. Ah, our hands can be in our lap with the left under the right, also a meditation gesture. And for the Hum, our hands could be outstretched in a gesture of giving. Om. Ah. Hum. Om. Ah. Hum. Om. Ah. Hum. And if you'd like, you can imagine a beautiful white light entering your body at the crown chakra at the top of your head, and slowly coming down into your head, transforming all of your senses with this beautiful white light. And it can then flow into the chest, the neck and the throat, and then the chest, shoulders, arms, hands, fingers, down through the torso, down into the legs, finally into the feet. And we can just sit for a moment, experience this beautiful nectar-like white light transforming our whole body into a very peaceful, calm state. And we can also imagine the light expanding beyond our own body, moving out into the universe, touching all beings with this beautiful light that can heal all their illnesses, all their worries, all their fears, solve all their problems, and just bring peace and joy to all beings, human and animal. All the beings can be made peaceful through the beautiful light that we're generating towards them. Om Ahum once more, and when we do it this time, we're going to be dedicating any merit, any positive qualities we created through our practice towards the benefit of all beings. Om. Ah. Om. So we have a few more minutes left. If anyone has any further questions or comments they'd like to share with us.
What is the best way to deal with injustice in the world? Is it better to meditate and transform from within, or is it better to protest in the streets or in any way that you can, or is it a combination of the two?
Yeah, I would say in general, probably a combination of working on yourself, maybe from the spiritual traditions, they say that that's the most important thing you can do. Because if you can't kind of tame your own demons or, solve your own issues, it's hard to help others. But also, in Buddhism, we talk about wisdom and compassion, that we develop our wisdom through our practice, but then we're naturally inclined to act with compassion. So that's the more active quality. So I would say, once we kind of work on ourselves and maybe really examine what we think injustice means and why we think it exists and how we think it can be helped, then we can do some action. And I think it's important to think carefully about how you do make your actions. With the protests, maybe to you that seems like the best thing you can do, and maybe it is. But maybe there's also other things you can do. Maybe you try to help make legislation that changes things. Maybe you, in the company you work for, maybe you make an effort to have more affirmative action or, different hiring policies, things like that. So there's this wide range of things we can do when we see injustice. So I think, like you said, both are important.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay. Good luck with that. It's not an easy one.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very nice session. I feel very calm and feel energy, just feel good. Thank you so much.
Good, thank you.
I joined first time. It was very good, very calming.
Good.
Very peaceful, inner peace.
Good. And these are very simple practices, so you can do them on your own too. You don't really need guidance for it. You just do it whenever you have some time.
Is it like a Tai Chi practice or different?
Well, we call it kumne, which is kind of Tibetan. Kumne.
Kumne.
It's
Yeah.
Tibetan style yoga, and
Okay.
it's mostly designed to help us meditate more easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We got a lot of compliments for you, Rosalind.
Oh,
But
good.
it's
Thank
flowing
you.
with how people are feeling calmer, happier, cheerful.
Good. Those are good signs. When you're feeling that way, you should remind yourself, yeah, this is how I should be feeling.
One comment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really enjoying the imagery of the colors and the light. It's just very powerful to envision those colors, and especially the white light.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Good. Good. Yeah, of course we have the left brain and the right brain, and most of us, in modern Western life, we're, using so much the left brain, all the concepts and the words. But if we can get in touch with that more intuitive side, sometimes it has a way of really helping heal us. So, sometimes even like, if we can just get out in nature, I know it's not so easy nowadays, but and experience the sensual quality of the air and the colors, it can just sort of help ground us and kind of calm us down. So I know in modern life we kind of forget about that. We're always checking our phones and our screens and everything, but if we can just kind of get in touch with the natural world, with the colors, the shapes, the forms, it can sometimes really help calm us down. So
This may
I
sound silly.
agree.
Oh, good. But I know you're out in, I think, Marin,
we're in Sonoma County. Uh-huh.
or in, I'm sorry, Sonoma County. Just today, there was something about the light today outside, and I don't know why. It just was very powerful today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes with depending on where how the clouds are in the sky or the overcast or whatever, or I think also the time of year too. Of course, with the sun moving more towards, moving more towards north, and of course we just had the summer equinox. So
Right.
that was I think that's the longest day of the year. So maybe what you're experiencing too.
Yes. So it was great that you were talking about color. Thank you.
Good, thank you, thank you.
Bhavani, you had a
Yeah.
question. Go ahead.
Yeah, namaste to everybody. Thank you. And it's a very good session. I really appreciate it. And so after all this, I'm feeling that beautiful nature is the best teacher and best doctor. With trees, plants, flowers, and things like that.
Yeah, it can really help, especially during these troubling times we are in now.
A lot. That's what I'm experiencing.
Yeah, I know when I'm out in the garden doing some weeding, it's like my favorite thing to do these days.
Yeah, enjoying sunrise and sunset. Definitely,
Yes.
It's what a beautiful things around us.
Yeah.
And each and everyone, we should feel for it and enjoy and share with someone else if possible.
So thanks to all of you. Rosaline, there are only words of praises for you. The chat box is full of that.
Oh.
But Somnath,
yeah,
I have a small thing for Rosalind to finish on the note.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to end it on the right note with a good message. So let's see what Rosalind has to say. So this king wanted to be enlightened, and he went to the monk and he said, "Please enlighten me." And the monk said, by nature you had become a king. So you had to be in the right readiness to become a monk like me. So it needs some time. But the king wasn't ready because kings don't like to hear no, right? So he insisted that the monk has to enlighten him right away. So he said, well, I can do that provided you live in the forest next to this one. So he gave some mantra to the king. He went to the forest. And the king couldn't sleep because there was no bed. So he made a bed. Then he thought the bed is just barren like that. So he built a hut and so on. And then eventually he had a whole kingdom ready into the forest. So the symbolism of the story is that we acquire the good or bad habits with course of time. And that relates to the company we take, and then people want to make the changes, but they fall back sometimes to the old habits, and they know what's right for them, but it's hard to be able to sustain the it takes long time to attain the grace, but it takes a minute to fall from grace, right? So how one can do that? So one simple idea is like attending sessions with people like you, who just your presence is so enlightening and making us happier and peaceful. So how can we live in the same spirit whole time? So what you will say to our people, and that's how we will end the program.
Well, that's a lovely story. I would just say, as much as you can, surround yourself with positive people or positive experiences. I know we all like to keep up with the news just so we know what's happening, but maybe just only spend a few minutes a day with it, not too much, because it's pretty depressing right now. But, listen to some nice inspirational talks or videos, where people are expressing some positive spiritual qualities, and just, protect yourself, protect your heart, feed your inner self with positive qualities and information, read inspiring books, listen to beautiful music, keep your senses peaceful and joyful, and then you'll be able to generate more joy in the world around you, to your family and friends, and that those are important qualities. If you can express peacefulness and joyfulness to your friends and colleagues and family, that goes a long way to helping the world. One step at a time.
All right, thank you, Rosalind.
Thank
So give her a big hand, all friends, for wonderful presentation. And thanks for joining us, Rosalind, for the second time.